What's been some difficult moments in the real estate game that you've gone through when you've been dealing with clients?
One, like how to get their house ready. So it's like, you want X amount, but like you haven't done any work to get it there. So I think you're moving anyways, just pack it up. And like staging really helps.
We're live.
We're live.
Whoa.
Welcome. You made it. Yes. Let's see if we can get those mics just a little closer to you guys as well, too.
Okay.
Awesome. Listen, I'm excited to do this with you guys.
Oh, so excited.
Oh, yeah? Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, listen, we're just going to have a conversation. So I want people to know who you guys are, right? You guys have been on my team now. How long has it been now? We're getting close to 2 years.
Yeah.
They haven't heard you yet on a podcast, and I think it's time to expose you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it'll be fun. And so I want to talk about like why. Why did you guys even get into real estate and, you know, the mindset? And also, too, you guys have been drinking through a fire hydrant being on my team.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right? Like the amount of knowledge, the amount of exposure and the investors that you guys have been working with, and also clients as well, too, who are looking to buy and sell their home. And so I want to dive into that. And then also, too, the market that we're in right now, because this has been a difficult market and how you guys have been navigating through it. And I remember one of the question that I can't remember if it was you or if it was you, Karen, asked me, is now a good time to be getting in as a realtor? And I'm like, damn right it is, like the best time. This is the best time to learn.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it's difficult, because then you'll know what to do when this market comes around again, because there's always ups and downs, and that's just part of the game. Right. And so, Kathryn.
Gary.
Does everybody know who you are?
Oh, I'm just Kathryn Almeida. Live in Bowmanville.
I spilled my wine.
You did.
It's all right.
Can't take you anywhere.
Well, let's have a quick cheers anyways. And I haven't even drank yet. All right, cheers. All right, cool.
So, I've lived in Bowmanville for 13 years. Grew up in Newcastle, so I'm I know like the Clarington and Durham area very well.
Okay.
I had family living in Peterborough, so I was always like there, but I didn't like know it well. So I've definitely gotten to know it even better since being in real estate.
Right.
But
Durham property tours and
yeah, those are really cool.
Or not Durham, sorry, Peterborough property tours.
But all the property tours. So about me. So I started in graphic design. So I was an art director for Mattamy Homes. So I've literally always been in the home industry. Then I started my family. I'm not commuting to Toronto. So that's where, when Harvey was 10 months, I landed a job with a real estate team doing their marketing, coordinating, and real estate assisting. So I was with them for 4 years, but there's nowhere for me to grow. So I was like, okay, the next step for me to grow is to literally be the realtor. And I was always interested in investing, but I had no clue. I didn't know what that was. I listened to Scott McGilvery. I don't know. Bought my house when my husband and I bought our house when I was 21. But we just held on to it. We thought we just had to pay it off.
Get you a little closer to that mic too.
So
I think you're tall too.
Am I tall?
Yeah, there we go.
Usually everyone says that. Okay.
Beauty.
Is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
So the next step was naturally to be a realtor from the job that I was at. And so I quit that job and I just studied for a year to be a realtor. And that's where O&R.
How did you find Our Neighborhood Realty?
So,
and what made you choose Our Neighborhood Realty as opposed to say another brokerage?
Well, the fees, very little fees.
Right.
And O&R had like so much to offer for new realtors with like the education support. So
Right.
I called another realtor up, Lori Speed. I was like, hey, like, is this true? Or is it like a bunch of BS? And she's like, no, it's freaking true.
Right.
So,
like how affordable it was. And then
Yeah.
also all the training that we had and the support that we had. And
yeah,
right.
I was like, oh, I can actually call someone.
Yeah.
Like,
And culture. We have good culture here as well.
yes. Yeah. So, and I was getting into this business as something for me, and it was like proving that I can do this. I'm like, I can be whatever I want to be. So in the beginning, it was like, no, I'm going to do this. I don't want help from anyone. And then after like a few months, I'm like, I'm so lonely. I need a team. I need help.
And then we'll dive into that. So we'll dive into the whole team aspect of that. And
Yeah.
what made you get into it, Karen? Like why real estate? And I think we also had a conversation before you had a real estate license, or
It was slightly after.
was it slightly after? Okay.
Yes. So I started in the dentistry field as a dental hygienist.
Yep.
Always like working with people and small business. So I really liked that atmosphere until COVID hit, right?
Right. And you're like, I don't want to work in people's mouths anymore.
I was in the epicenter of your COVID, okay? Like I was making it rain inside the small rooms with, minimal airflow. And I was scared. Like, I was watching the news and I was one of those people that were scared.
Yeah.
So we got sent home for the 3 months. And what I found interesting was that my dentist, like my bosses at the time, they still had to pay rent. Like rent was still due, even though we weren't being able to treat clients as frequently. So I just started reading about real estate. I thought that was interesting. And then while I was home, I'm like, I'm doing all this reading on real estate.
Yep.
Why don't I just get my license? You know what I mean? Like at the time, it was very hot. Real estate was very hot. Everybody was a guru. And I'm like, well.
What year was that? That was
2020.
2020. Okay.
And then slowly into 2021. Like everybody was making money with real estate.
And you know what the crazy thing is? Up until that point, the word in the street was that real estate investing was a very small space. Like you eventually kind of bumped into all of the major players in the game. As soon as 2020 hit, it was like, I don't even know this person. I don't know that person. I don't know who this coach is. I don't know who that guru is. And they just came out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere. And I think that's what made it very difficult for a lot of investors in the beginning who are trying to get into the game of, well, who do I go with? Because if somebody could pitch a good sales pitch to somebody that, oh, you need to use me, even though I've only been in the game for 6 months and I've only done one investment property. And I think that's where a lot of people got themselves in trouble.
Yes. And you could see that, like, well, now looking back, right? But at the time, too, like, there was a lot of podcasts with real estate investors and real estate investing, right? And so there was one podcast that I was listening to.
Yep.
And this guy, Gary Hibbert, was on there. And then
I know that guy. You went with him?
Yeah. And he said that, be careful of who you're admiring. So yes, look at where they are right now, but then also look at their family life. Like also look at the stuff that they like to do. And I thought that was a really good point, right? Because there are so many people that are having so much success. And, I was loving that whole real estate theory and the accessibility to wealth building. I loved all of that. And then hearing you say that, I'm like, oh, that kind of made me step back and really analyze who were the people that I was admiring at the time. And I'm like, you know what? This guy, Gary, seems like he's pretty cool. So, yes. And then that's how everything kind of.
Right. Because then we had a Zoom call and it was you and Sid.
Yeah.
Was Darlene on that call as well, too?
She was.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you guys were working together as a team. And I'm like, look, Sid, see, they're working together. They're in real estate. Like you know what I mean? So I just like the fact that there was more than just real estate with you guys.
Right.
It was like family. You have your kids involved. They also knew what you did. And I like that.
Right. And so then now into the whole team dynamic, right? So you're working solo. How long were you by yourself for, Kathryn?
It was about just shy of a year.
Okay.
So I think I did 3 transactions by myself, and it was felt like I was on a street corner. Like, this is so hard.
What was it though? What was it that was hard about it? Because you went through some of the training here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what was hard was just like the constant rejection and like knowing like you don't want to be like too pushy. You don't want to have like that commission breath. And it's like, I generally like just want to help you find a house and like what that looks like. And just, I don't know, talking to people that you feel like are like, realtor click.
Right.
So
and so where were you getting your leads from, or what were you doing? Were you just calling friends? Were you calling family?
How did I start? Some of it was family. I definitely like harassed some of my family.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people don't realize it, but a lot of times your family doesn't even use you.
No.
And the heartbreaking part is when you see them buy a home on social media and they don't even use you.
Yeah.
They just show you the pictures. Hey, look what I did this weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, what was wrong with me?
Right.
I don't want to see you again. But I think, and then not agent locator.
Mm-hmm.
So I was paying for leads to come through.
Okay, got it.
But man, the first year solo, like it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why did I do this?
Right. And then for you didn't really start to do any transactions until we maybe had a conversation about you getting into real estate, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that all happen?
Well, just kind of like going with my personal life, like back to work happened. And then I had to wear those silly N95 mask all day. And it was terrible. I couldn't breathe for like 10 hours. But I had my real estate license at this point. And I'm like, okay, am I going to make the jump? Like, you know what I mean? Because there was so much information and so many paths to go about it, you know? So because of ONR, they offer so many learning courses for beginners, especially. So I attended all of them, and that's where I met Kathryn. And then we clicked right away. And then later on, you know, you were also looking for somebody on the team. And at the time I was also speaking to Kathryn, and then she just sent me a text one day
because
while I was at work.
Yeah, I was interviewing.
Yeah. And then the text is like, hey, would you leave your job and do real estate full time?
Right.
I'm like, oh, like my life froze. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is the part of the story where I'm supposed to drop everything and go into real estate. So that's what I did.
Right.
Yeah, I really like working with people. I love working with people. And I think was kind of what pushed me in, is that opportunity to work with people that I like and I clicked with and I admired. So why not?
You know, it's interesting the way you said it, though, was like, is this the part of the story where I'm supposed to, it's like you almost know, like, it's either I'm leaving this book and going into a new book, or I'm going into a new chapter of my life. And that can be a scary thing as well, too. Like, walk me through what that's been like, that transition and leaving your full-time job. And, you know, and did anybody ever say to you, like, are you doing the right thing, or question what you were doing?
Oh, 100%. Like, you know, at that little brief period where I had to make sure I was going to be on the boat 100%. It was very, you know, I spoke to my family, I spoke to Sid, like my husband, you know, so, but, you know, everybody was on board. Everybody, when you say real estate, everybody goes like, real estate, really? You know what I mean? So there wasn't really too much pushback in terms of my supportive group. Those are the people that I consult with the most in terms of life. And they were all very supportive. So I didn't have any hesitation on jumping aboard. Right. You know?
Okay. That's good. Yeah, because it can really make you doubt yourself and whether or not you're making the right decision.
You still, for sure. But it was just so exciting. You know, I was just so excited. I just didn't care. You know, husband says yes. Mom and dad say yes. Kids are like, yay. You know what I mean? Sure. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Now, what's it been like now, fast forward to 2 years of being on my team and being a real estate agent, and also now working with not only just homeowners, but also a lot of real estate investors and commercial and multifamily and
oh my God.
Like, you guys are just like right into the mix.
Yeah.
This is amazing. It's
so amazing.
I love it so much.
It literally is a fire hose. It's like a cartoon.
Really
it's like,
yes.
the water. I can't
Gonna get in your hair everywhere.
Yeah.
It's great.
So walk us through that.
Oh, okay, like it's amazing. It's crazy to look back at like where where we started. And it's like, I know so much more. And I think I take it for granted on like all the education that I've actually like soaked up. But it's definitely been so emotional at the same time. Like so many highs and lows. Like, no, I called Darlene up. I'm like, what am I doing? Like 1 minute I'm happy. The next minute I'm like crying because you're dealing with people's lives. And like, you really see how they live. Like some of them, like you really feel for, and then others like you're so happy for. And then like, there's just so many emotions, but I know, sorry.
That's okay. You get excited, I know. but you're right though, because there is so many emotions from somebody selling their own personal home, and sometimes there's tears at the dinner table, to somebody who is buying a commercial building, and there isn't as much emotions. It's just a transaction. So you're seeing all aspects of it. And and a lot of times as well too, we talk about this all the time, is that the ones that take up more of our time, sometimes like the leases, you get paid less, but the ones that are bigger, there's not as much sometimes work involved. There can be, but it's interesting, the different dynamics that you see in every level of the game, right? And that's what you guys have been kind of drawn into.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes you just want to like hermit, and it's like, no, let's break free. Like we can do this.
Yes.
And I mean, look at the investors that you guys have connected with now too.
So good.
You know,
So
like
cool.
Matthew Frederick and
I love him.
Harry James and you know, JG and Alfonso Quadra. Like I can sit here and name off all these different people that we have such close connections with, and it's such a great community, and everybody's always willing to help each other.
I've noticed that. It's like, it's okay if you don't know as much as everyone else. Is like, they're willing to share and teach you, and like,
and when they share, they simplify it to the best way possible that you understand and absorb it. You know what I mean?
Was that surprising to you?
Yes, like the way they simplify, like, you know, 15-unit apartment buildings, the way they made it so easy, a dashboard on your car, let's pretend, you know what I mean? And so you grasp the theory so quickly that you're able to now talk about apartment buildings and, you know, maneuver your way through conversations, which is helpful because, you know, at almost 2 years in as a realtor, some realtors that I know have many years in, and they wouldn't even probably know anything really about apartment buildings. You know what I mean? Mind you, that's where I wanted to be at anyway. So I, you know, made sure I exposed myself to that. But I feel so privileged because I'm surrounded with all these, you know, great mentors and great experienced investors that know what they're doing. You know, so you're able to see all of that. Yeah,
where you take like a complex pro forma and you're then able to have the understanding of knowing, I don't need to know everything in here, but stripping out what are the main things that an investor is looking for: cap rate, the expenses, NOI, just that dashboard that you're saying, and then being able to then relay it to that investor for them to do their own due diligence, because somebody who's at that level understands what it is that they're purchasing. And then now they're like, okay, well, give me the whole thing right now, because a lot of times they just want that high level number in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. No staging on that one.
No.
Maybe some photos, but that's about it.
So let's dive into a little bit about mindset, and then we'll talk about the market. But what's that been like for you? Like just the shift of mindset required to do what you're doing today, especially in, we'll call it a very difficult market, because it hasn't been easy. And a lot of realtors we know have dropped out of the market. Because it's been hard. Like, what was the stat that we heard last year? 75% of realtors have done zero transactions. That's wild.
Yeah, that's scary.
Very scary for them.
I would say kind of like perseverance. You know what I mean? Being able to withstand maybe the negativity or the path that maybe you weren't expecting. You should be able to come through with that. And at parallel, be supportive to your clients. Let them know that, you know, we're trying our best. We're educating them. Let them know how the market is. It's changed. You know what I mean? So I think Perseverance is a word that I like. And again, having that softness to emotionally connect with your clients and let them know that you're there for them and everything will be fine at the end. You know?
Are there any particular books that you're reading or any podcasts that you enjoy listening to that help kind of shift that mindset? Or is there something, or is there like a routine that you have in the morning?
I really have to move my body in the morning. Like I have to, even if it's just a 30-minute walk, like I have to get up before the kids, because once the kids get up, like it's tornadoes in my household. So I really like to get up in the morning and move.
Okay. What time is that?
That's usually about 5:45 to 6.
Perfect. So I can call you then?
Okay.
Oh, you don't want phone calls?
Gary's doing yoga at that time, so I know he's not going to call me.
That's right.
Yes, and I like to blast music while I'm at it. So
Okay.
I think that's my way.
Okay. So you're early rise.
Yes, I love it, especially if the sun's out.
All right.
Yeah.
So early rise, you don't get into work. It's just get your mind right, walk, clear your head.
Yes, I need that little decompression and disconnect and just kind of listen to like Sean Paul or Bad Bunny in my ear before my day gets started.
Love it.
Yeah, I think that kind of puts me in a good mindset for the day.
Yeah, I think that's such a good thing to do because then it allows you to then sometimes at least kind of either get your mind clear and also to sometimes in the background, at least for me anyways, my subconscious is trying to organize and get my day going and kind of sort things out a little bit, right? Yoga does that so well for me because then what it does is it allows me to actually shut my brain off because I'm trying to put my ankle around my head.
Yeah.
You can't be thinking about real estate transactions or, what should I talk about at the next morning meeting?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I don't know if this toe will actually get around my head.
Let me see.
And what about you? How's your morning start?
I love waking up early. So like 5:30, my alarm goes off.
Yep.
I downstairs by like 5:45, 6 o'clock, grab my coffee, feed the cats, and I'm either like on my phone looking at Instagram at like inspirational messages and like all like mindset quotes and you can do this, you can do this. But then I'm like right into my email and kind of planning out my day and like my week, depending on like where we are in the week. So I basically start right away until then I get the kids up 7. Once I take them to school, then I have to go to the gym for strength and conditioning. Like missing that is like, I feel like a loser.
Yeah.
So kind of like both of you, like with the walking and the yoga, like
well, I guess the endorphins
exercise,
going. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely feel good afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think mindset is like a huge part of the business.
I agree.
Because especially like January when it's so gray. Like,
yeah, I know like one thing is, so definitely, yes, the movement in the morning, but these events that Smart Home Choice has that they have speakers, like we just recently had a mastermind, like you never really know how much you need it until you attend the event and you're like, I'm so happy I came here. I'm so happy this event was here and it helped me with my mindset. And it just kind of makes you have a boost of energy, a boost of positivity. And I really enjoy going into those events.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too, to keep up with your events.
I can't agree with you more. I love those events so much. I will say this. So we've been doing it now for almost 15 years, which is crazy when you think about it. And we used to do them monthly, which is wild.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. So then, you got like a week off and then you're planning your next guest speaker and you're planning the next event. And so it was a lot of work. And then now I find that even when we're doing it, like, man, it's a lot of work. But then every time we do it, we're like, thank God we did it. And the hardest part is, are we going to get the people there? Are people going to show up? And then the ticket sales start to come, but they're not coming as much as you thought they were going to get. And then usually near the end, it's like all of a sudden you get this like
rush
of people like, okay, I guess I'm going to come. Like, well, why couldn't you tell me that earlier?
Because we're last minute.
No, they want to stress us out.
Yeah.
For
sure.
But I also now, I want to dive into, I guess also like the market, because I think the market is important right now. And we'll dive into working with clients who are looking to buy or sell their home. What are you guys seeing out there on the streets? Because I think that's what people want to know.
caution for sure. But like, it's such a good time.
Okay, so we'll talk about the buyers first. And so for buyers, it's a great time to be out in the market right now.
Yes. Yeah, I think the buyers still, they know the market has come down, but they still think it's coming down more. I don't know how much more it really will, but I think they're still like, oh, we can have conditions and like we can go lower than the asking price. Is like, yeah, like you can go a lot lower depending on how long it's sitting. Like it's actually sitting on the market.
Right.
It's not going in 7 days. So, yeah, buyer standpoint is kind of cool. But I think there are, especially with like the States, there's a lot of uncertainty. But I think it's more for like, are they going to keep their job and will they be able to afford this house?
Right. So for buyers right now, you're saying that this is a good time to go out.
Absolutely.
Okay, you can put conditions in, you can put financing in, you can put home inspection in.
Yeah.
You can also put, what's an SPP? Because you've done a couple of those.
Yeah, so sale of the purchaser's property. So it's like the buyer's property. So it's like you can put an offer in, it's accepted, but you can sell your house before you go firm on that offer.
Right.
Right? So if my husband is willing to look at properties, like, yeah, and like string him along, like, let's look at properties.
Right.
He's game.
He better be listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what are you finding right now for buyers? And you're more in the, and I don't think we talked about this in the beginning, but Durham region, Peterborough is kind of your primary market.
Yep.
And also Northumberland.
Yep, Northumberland. Yeah, actually, I have 2 listings in that area right now. So definitely, yeah, not as Karen's the city. I like septic and wells.
Yes, I like those concrete jungles for sure. So I live in Toronto and I've pretty much lived there all my life. But in terms of buyers, what's really interesting is, people that were maybe thinking about getting into a lease or have been in a lease since maybe like say 2021, 2022, where their monthly rental payments can be transferred onto a mortgage payment. They're loving that. Like right now, like they've been paying high rents, right? So now with the cooling off with the prices, they're able to now get into the market. So to work with first-time home buyers, like people that are renting right now, listen up. If you're in the High Park, Roncesvalles, Junction, all of that little area, there's a pretty good chance that you guys can get in at an affordable price. You know what I mean? That could be equal to what you're paying now in rent. So I would encourage you guys to get like a checkup with us. But yeah, that's what we're seeing in terms of buyers, and everybody's excited. Everybody's excited. Everybody who's buying right now is very, very excited.
Right, because you've seen leases come in. There are people who are looking for a lease, and then you realize, well, look, you're paying $4,000.
$4,000.
And you've got a down payment. You got some money saved up. Well, why do you want to continue to rent? Why don't you just go own your home? Because I think sometimes too, they don't have the pulse on the market like we do. And there's sometimes they maybe just assume like, oh, well, it's still too far out of reach. And then now you're there to educate them, say, hold on a second. No, you can actually purchase a property. This home that was like 1.3 is now down to like under $1 million.
Yeah, they got the pulse on the social media that's brainwashing them to saying that everything's not affordable and they can't get in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to be that person that tells them, hey, this is not the case. Look at this. You know what I mean? Look at these stats. Look at this price, compared to what we were in 2021, 2022. It's great to see.
So are you seeing that there's a lot of education that you're doing when you're talking to some of these clients?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just like we call it market education. Now that we've, got the training. But yeah, to educate them on what's going on. And the level of excitement that they have on their faces is unmatched. You know what I mean? So it feels really good for you, like as a realtor, to be able to help people with that.
Right. That's awesome. Anything else on buyers? Like any tips that you can give them?
Don't buy condos.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm also not in the city. So I don't know. I look at, this first time home buyer I just helped, and he was looking for a condo. So we were looking at condos, but I was able to get him a home that was the same amount as a condo. And like he didn't even think that was possible.
Right, because when you factor in that maintenance cost of $600 or $700, and a lot of times that's what those condo maintenance fees are. And you're looking at a condo, whatever, say $550, $575, you can actually buy a house for $750, out in Whitby or Curtis or Oshawa.
So yeah, he had no clue. Like I don't think he even thought that buying a freehold house was an option. So that was pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else on the buyer side that they should be aware of?
I just think, if you're thinking about purchasing something, don't hesitate to get, a financial checkup. That's what we offer. And it doesn't mean you're going to get in, but it will give you a roadmap of when or if you can get in. Which I think is important, right? Because then if not, you're just kind of going through life aimlessly. You don't know, right? So it's always best to know, even if it's not the best news. But then at least you could plan it out and have some help doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Financial checkup is so good. And it's so important as well, too, because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right. And then your mortgage agent can sit down, have that conversation with you. Here's what you need to do, or here's how much more you need to save, or here's what a down payment, or some people I've talked to think that, well, I have to do 20%. And a lot of times it's like, no, you can do 5%. It's like, well, what if I owned a home before and I don't own a home right now? You can be a first-time home buyer again. And so some people they don't have that education. And it's unfortunate because they're not taught this in school. It's so wild.
Oh, it's so frustrating that they're not.
Well, that's why they rely on you guys to educate them.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about sellers?
Patience.
Yeah.
We're not in COVID anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't expect those higher prices, like come down. You have to come down. I think the market is down, 30%. So your house is going to take longer to sell. It's not going to sell like in a day to 7 days. And I think buyers are kind of looking at houses and kind of like waiting until they've sat a little longer so then they can offer to get what they want. Are you feeling that?
Yes, for sure. In terms of the selling side, just things are taking a little bit longer to move. The prices are not as high as they would like for it to be. But if you don't want to sit on the market, price it at a good value and it will move. It will move if it's priced well. So just making them aware of that. I think it's important.
This is not a market to be testing.
Right.
No, it's either you want to sell. And if you want to sell, then you have to then be sitting down with an experienced real estate agent who's actually going to give you the real numbers and not just list your home because the seller says, well, I want to get 800 when we know that the home is worth 700. Like it's just, there's no point.
Right.
And especially when prices are moving, when the market is going up, they go up like an elevator. And when they're coming down, we've talked about this, they come down like stairs.
Yeah.
And so right now we're in that sticky mode of it slowly coming down. And the last thing you want to be doing is chasing the market. And a lot of sellers right now are chasing the market where they keep lowering it. And they're about 10,000 or 5,000 behind the market. And so you want to get ahead of that, especially when you're looking at condos. And a condo is in that, what would you call it? I guess the same column. And they're listing it at a price because once that condo sells lower than what you wanted to, that now sets that new price for that. Even if it's on the lower floor, it's just a new price now that's been set. Yes, I get it. Higher floors, you're going to get more for it, but it's still pulling your price down.
100% for sure. Yep.
Yeah. What else for sellers? Any other expectations or things that they need to be aware of?
I would say if you're an investor and are looking to sell your investment property and it's tenanted, maybe reach out to us first. Maybe we can come up with a strategic game plan with maybe some timelines and review of leases of how to go about that, because I think that's important too. Tenanted properties do take longer to sell. So I think you should be aware before you head into that market, just to have a phone call with us and kind of see, what can be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because it's not the easiest thing to do.
No.
And then also too, you have to understand what the tenant is going through. You want to be able to have that conversation with the tenant because you then become the middle woman.
Yes. Because they middle
the woman. Okay. To then be able to bridge and have that conversation between the tenant and the investor. And sometimes that relationship breaks down. Sometimes all of a sudden, you've gone through this, and when that relationship breaks down, guess what? You're the therapist.
Exactly, on both sides.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, definitely a middleman would benefit that for sure.
Yeah. What's been some difficult moments in the real estate game that you've gone through when you've been dealing with clients?
One, like how to get their house ready. So it's like, you want X amount, but like you haven't done any work to get it there. So I think you're moving anyways, just pack it up. And like staging really helps. So I think that's one thing. And I also just like the price, like wanting a certain price that is way too high. And like educating them of this is where the market is at. I think price always comes down to that, but like also making sure the property is looking proper for that value.
Yeah. The hard part too is convincing them and showing them the importance of getting that property modernized as well too, as opposed to sometimes using their furniture.
Yes.
And it's difficult because they're like, well, what's wrong with my furniture? You don't like my taste? And it's like, no, it's just, listen, it's not even me. Let's go with the stager's recommendation, because they're the ones who are in the market. They know the new trend, and that's what people are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually interesting. I find like first time home buyers, they're not able to visualize anything past what they see. So it's like, even if a house isn't like staged, it's like they can't picture their furniture in there. So it's like, that is very important to make it appealing to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, we're close to the end here, but I want to ask maybe one or two other questions and we'll wrap it up.
We made it.
You made it. You made it. Yeah. Yeah. Where do you see yourself in, say, the next, we'll say 5 years or so, in our next couple of years? Because I think you're both interested in real estate investing, but where do you see your future going?
Apartment buildings.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, well, 5 years.
Yeah.
Apartment buildings.
I hope I have a few apartment buildings, but let's start with one.
Okay.
Because I know we're pulling some people along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to definitely learn more about like commercial and be in that space. That space is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm sitting at the big boy table.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just hanging out today with a pretty large investor who is
So cool. Yeah. It's so humbling. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm here. Like,
and you know what the amazing thing is, when they're at that level too, they're so willing to share their information, which I think is always an incredible piece of it. Like, when I used to work in the corporate world, and I don't know what it was like for you, where you were, Karen and Kathryn, but there was always this like, well, I can't give you all the information, because if I do, then Gary, you're going to leapfrog me. And so I'll give you some, but I can't give it all to you. When I went into the entrepreneur world, I was like, man, people just want to give you the information. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you, climb.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's no resistance of information. It's just free flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You almost like, you can't be it. Like, I'm always like so grateful for like the amount of information that, these investors are willing to share.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any last piece of advice that you'd want to share, whether it's a homeowner looking to buy or sell, or an investor thinking about getting into the market, or maybe even trying to sell their property in this difficult market?
I would just say, like, consult with professionals. Like, don't consult with your BFF that doesn't really own anything. You know what I mean? Like, if the person's not where you would like to be, maybe switch that to somebody that's professional or in the space that you want to be in the future. I would say that.
Yeah, good advice.
For sure. And I think going back to like the financial checkup, like if you're thinking about either buying real estate or selling what you have, like, and you don't know what to move to next, like have a consultation with us, and we can kind of like go on the steps.
Yeah. And we do it for free.
Yeah.
You can just call us. We're like, hey, let's do a 30-minute Zoom call. Have a conversation.
Yeah.
Tell you what's up.
Yeah,
You're in or you're out.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then we just put you through a system and we put you through the process. Okay, cool. This is what you want to do? Awesome. Talk to this person. That person talks to you? Done. Okay, you're back to us. Okay, what kind of strategy you want to do? Okay, this is what we're going to do. Oh, you need an accountant? Okay, cool. Hey, you need a lawyer? It's just like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And that's what I really
It really
wanted to
is.
create when we started this. So,
Yeah.
Karen, Kathryn, thank you so much for doing this with me and having a glass of wine with me and sharing your story. I think people are going to enjoy this and then get a better chance to know who you guys are. I think you guys are incredible, and I think you're fundamental to my team. And a lot of the investors that you've been working with, their feedback is they've enjoyed working with you. So I appreciate that. So thank you guys very much for it. And thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
will do this again.
Yay.
All right. Awesome.
For sure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.